I have recorded a video. Primarily that these are reproducing with the terms of you take the information off and you take it for yourself and make it for yourself, and if he says something we put it in cello, it's transferred, he will learn that we meant here. Policía Federal Argentina, Gendarmería Nacional, and the rest, playing the heroes and the coverers for the country to not be embarrassed. And the career making based off what takes from me. Profaning and robbing and saying that they have rights because of they will be the government. Now, this squadrons criminals that generates organized, the livers delusional freaks, which are not any other and absorb the violence, is exactly what I cannot suffer in a lifetime. And I am not willing for nothing. And they made my life a hell with not being that, neither for. And they produced the reality of the suffer permanently that I got and never stopped, and every days are sickest than ever with them evangelicals and them kirchmers and never sick that generate like them. And they don't stop until they die. Now, let's having an instant. Like you, MELECH'HA SHEM DDONIERO, GILBERTO d'ASILVA, Moshe Gilberto. MELECH'HA OFRA HAZA, HEYHDN KYVELZ. I had to receive $7 million payment here, and that never happened. Like the whole before, and like we'll still do the same until everyone to get dead. That's the only way to go out of here and this to stop. This all sick that generates all together in the component that they all are to get in the hell death. Because of everyone helps to another and the other to another and everything is, it's only money. There is only money. Lord justifies, Lord forgives. Lord has mercy. We have done something, okay, we're mistaken. Lord has mercy and forgives. If he wants something to have faith because of we don't see it, seeking for no God. So in the middle of this all, the same perros degenerados evangélicos bring carnival crudo cabrera making this, which Sodom and Gomorrah, waiting to get out, and perros degenerados kirchners has money. Why he doesn't just leave? What's doing here? What for? And what is making around? Will it be that everybody's right about what it says about this one? Well, that's lives, has money. And sending to murder anyone to help me, saying that attempts against the patriot who wants to giving me some element for I to have media. And trying to murder anybody, llamame milico, llamame la gendarmería, porque se supo todo, se murió todo. No, llamámoslos. Que no se vaya de acá, que no se escape. And whoever to send me something like liaison office, you cannot go above the government. We're the government. We're going to receive it. We're going to judge what has been done. But don't you worry, we're going to make it receive. And never happens. So, perros degenerados kirchners are exactly like diablos de cuarta degeneradazos, like we know they are. And ever after. So what the reality for this, and to the conclusion of this, I never received no coin and forged my signature like every time and said that there will be me, one inside the Senate of this disgusting land, with the pardon of the victims, which will have my ID and prevent my genetics saying, pero va, sácame sangre, hazme el test del gen judío, vas a ver que encima también soy realeza. And also my person in altars, witchcraft and rape of people, saying that it's me, like Aníbal Fernández and the rest of perrazos degenerados acá. Raping our people and murdering our people, saying that has rights for being government. The same to this, and forgive me the term in the violence, please. At referendum for the reality as we go through, that one will be me, making the counseling, criminology, and justice, there said, justice, counseling, and law international counselors, or attorneys, to the giving to liaison office and the rest, that they will believe that it will be me, but they will be doing the ones that they pretend to put in liaison office after supposedly will murder everybody, saying because of evangelist Cadenat's the strategy, and we have to destroy the whole of my person, telling that I will be Lucifer, building and making and murdering all of our people for they to be succeeding. And saying that they will take the control and domain of what the devil have been doing, and the devil have been producing and spreading the whole of its supposed breed, which they do. Animales de Lucifer, criando crías del infierno, like they exist as for United Evangelicals, with them Sodom and Gomorrah and Kirchner's, which are the same, one and another. So in the middle of this reality, and I'm sorry in the violence, I can receive no coin with a forgery saying that I will decline, and I will confess that I will be robbing, and I will need it, but somebody needs it most. Like always, Kirchner's, degenerados infelices hijos del infierno, criminales de cuarta, were trying to avoid that I will also come again to New York City, knowing that I am at the willing to make the step forward into work to come into liaison office, and facing the reality. So the gay tour making, and supposedly Changi staff tour, to New York City. What will I want money for? Because of I also will be a demon, but I will ever have to have a pension for disability because if I will do the whole that this perros degenerados makes up, and the liars I will do and be. Why will I want a car? Why will I want a laptop and an Android? Don't you see, buy a car, cheating and lying and making that a complice, elemental with .US with liaison office to buying a car in the place. Why don't you just leave it? Now the reality is that this money, which were not $7 million, but 7 million pesos, were shared between Policía Federal Argentina, head soul, expertises, pretender of, everyone, metropolitanas, everyone, brains, pretender of authorities of Catholic evangelicals, all, carnivals, the whole involved, the degeneradazos of Lagos Satanales, la Chagusian, la Santos Taza, sorry for this pejoratively, la Carnival, and the whole degeneradazo Kirchners of Hernán Simpa and Máximo Kirchners. Now, at the reality of this, also murdered 804,000 persons because of they were saying to not tear and told them to not tear, and went to steal with the wallpaper last on the poetry registered by the liaison office that I will ever rob to this by making the mind cultural voodoo shit at the next word to taking out and whatever elementary did not take. Oh, but one, the rest is mine. And reproducing after I will think, says, or I will just talk about with a phone. We have the witness, they saw us making. But whenever I don't do nothing, oh, but it's the reverse. We come to do in the chat, paid for making this damn hell sickness for the kidnap our people and murder them by massive rape and making a business about the whole possessions to share and making a very sell auction class. Policía Federal Argentina, Gendarmería Nacional, Prefectura Naval Argentina, Servicio de Inteligencia del Estado Argentino, Policía Metropolitana, Policía de Seguridad Portuaria, Aeroportuaria, Ejército Armada Argentina, Policías Provinciales son la juega, which I came on denouncing since the beginning, and these perras de cuarta y ton and set first are exactly the core of the contention for deflection, the attention, and deliver to the containing. We're going to work and we're going to show you that we make the right job, while making the right time for they to have the coin as well, while they believed. So anyone will be just controlled until the moment to each turn to be. And it's exactly that. Yo dice primera, somos nosotros los que hacemos y trabajamos en todo. Y Andanina se cree, firmamos acá porque hacemos una petición de internación. So the reality is, I won't get off at the regular normal media, and are all involved making this except the list that I came into justice and states parties and to liaison office to your honors, and off of them the rest are all involved and everyone making the same and taking turns. Los mató a todos, bueno, seguimos nosotros. And pero es una cosa muy seria lo que dice. Aparte estuvo matando gente, ¿me investigas todo esto ahora? I have 6,004 degenerados watching what is my trouser elementary majors for they to say if they... pero le tiene... nosotros tenemos, big word, C word in English, on the phallus thing, pejoratively. Tenemos machos, tienen muy buen dote. ¿Qué buscas en él? Mira, te lo muestro. And it's not a lie. And telling that if I will ever be reduced, I will be perfect and everybody will ever have to blow chap, Sodoma, or Gomorrah in the defectuous reality for what argument can assemble and associating the hell that generates. Because if they will command, and they will say what would be to be the perfect male gender of El JHA'I and holy. While the rest of milicazos degenerados keeps on profaning me to the making the business and take out what is it new. Like the rest called, a ver, degenerada bosta de esta maldita degenerada tierra, enfiebrada carne de diablos, entre títulos evangelistas, entre títulos creídos de gobierno, civiles y creídos de señores, capitanes sin emblemas. Now, let's talk about what also tried to profane everyone to the making. Con esto vamos a sorry the word, sex, rape actually, not F word. Como locos. Y todos se van a reunir porque sabemos que va a hablar de estas cosas del reino de los cielos. Y a los judíos les encanta, entonces los tenemos a todos para nosotros. Y los vamos a coger. Yo mismo lo dije, te voy a matar, hijo de perra. Sorry for this. Now, ylnקקבצהיקלו'ւම්ךשמב. Sorry, I am disastrously bad. ylnקקבצהיקלו'ւම්ךשמב, רמח"ל ylnקקבצהיקלו'ւම්ךשס"ח, שכלקי ylנקקבצהיקלו'ւම්ךשס"חה, 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 ylנקקבצהיקלו'ւම්ךשס"חה. And no one stops. And I won't receive nothing in no normal media because of also needs to no one to see and this family to not be aware. A justice paper to saying for damages about whatever and whoever, such a very volume of money, not even a coin for not even 1,000 pesos, which has no magnitude reference about damages to pay for, but the reality is disability pension, and we don't have to be this way. And everything is just able to them to do at the way of they think they can. And makes the federal degeneration component community of diablos degenerados, criminales de cuarta, delincuentes baratos, cursness, and associated for there to happen. But I tell them criminals and criminales. And I tell them delincuentes and ¿cómo se atreve? Because of they don't resist being reduced. Criminals. Okay, everybody can be. Delincuente es algo muy bajo, muy reducido. Felony maker. Felonier is a very so diminished quote of they are diminished. Delincuentes. For a coin, for whatever, a chunky stuff, for any druggy carrion. They are capable, but they have to be prestigious. Highness. Degenerados. So what the reality of this, perros, ejército argentino, and the rest are the same. Equal evangelistas. And every fever, sickness on this share of land. Forgive me the terms, please. That's coming for the reality. And let's think about this. I am not living and we are not ending until they go there. And we don't have to wait until they die. And the reality of justice gotta be understanding the associations all over the states and all over the world that makes the weight upon my person like this. For this to remain this way for them. Like Nazis, like any other like them. Dabastu, Anrabat, Namero, Kilasia, Egipto, Sodoma, Gomorra, Babilonia. Now, let's put in the things the way things are, that they pretend to use in steel. Ferales degenerados viciados, telling that they will rape and murder everybody and they will make it happen anyway. Perros degenerados abominables, with them evangélicos, all together. Le sacamos todo el poder, ya no puede hacer más nada, ahora somos nosotros. Tengo su Mercedes-Benz que tienen en Israel, tengo su casa que tienen en Tel Aviv, tengo su casa de Ginebra, todo nos pertenece a sus puestos. Le mandamos a todos sus amigos, a todos estos que los violen y los maten. In other terms, they says that they are of God. Y tomamos posesión, tenemos a la Isanafes, tenemos al mundo. Nosotros mandamos a que no le permitimos nada, no vamos a dejar que haga. Evangelistas of Guillermo Brain, en Osvaldo Carnival. Viciadas, diablas, degeneradas en codicia de todo lo que es el reino de los cielos no dado a ninguno de ellos, y de todo lo que es la vida ajena, con derecho ajeno, posesión ajena, prestigio, realidad y existencia ajena, delirando de que van a ser y que Dios les va a perdonar y que Dios les va a dar, delirando de que son autoridad y que es justificable cualquier cosa que hagan con el término de porque sean autoridad, aun si lo fueran. Let's talk about this. José, Jasu, Amplati. Rembosik, Jacob, Mansvetiga, Radachlakim, and I'm sorry the terms and the violence. Forgive me, please, I'm sorry. Sorry, Adonai. I'm sorry. Skelbogreve fechalakim boran spahat sachili shvitaka radachalach nosmatlevim pogreves pasachimitim. And where Jacob aplekim borev spachadigi shvit chanachat mahansim and chasu gatimas lakim posanir or yasu chakmit. Then at the reality of this, can be given a form of Sechalish Vadara, Rebecca, Ben Swatlemet Verdish for Hamat Legis Pasmat Seshel. In Spligim Bogravi Ferrivi Kable Beswana Rachishvan Sedoklach Amat Pasam, in Shvasim. Chasua Tsiko, Rebecca Fechalagim Soshpet Nachmi and Plakesh Mosim. Chasua Ap Ishkevim. Chet Esu, Antlebesmon Rafesa. Jose. Sklegi mover fekligim es fogar hamatleris yeshtzbaliheן and sebon sedeshasasim. And in the middle of the lines of the Adonai working, in bleki reve fogar hishvasam, the root of the teach and the root of the tell, the root of the reality comes all over again, and Jesua at lishmo suffers for the reason of the jealousy, at the point of non-attention and forgot of them, the one that should be there for the giving affection and care. And remember that even the blessed will come to call him Israel. He still were Jacob and had sons that were demanding for he to be with them, which were not a curse, because of Leah gave him the reality of bless and love, but the jealousy and the tiredness and the always at the take care of him and don't you dare to say nothing else and do what I just command you because of I'm your father, deliver into okay, hang on yourself and take care of it if you can yourself, because of we are tired and you cannot put in the brush up that we are carrying on the situation that we also are working for you to eat as well. And at your age, you cannot putting us like you are going to adore the condition of the blessed that brought El Chai to you, and we will be just the shadow of your past, at the carrying the condemnation of what you done. So in the middle of that all, in the tiredness and the jealousy, At lekim borreves vacheligisvasim Jose is put in a pleki reves vacheligisvasim of lafemad. And everybody afraid, for they realized what happened. Not rejoicing for whatever the jealousy, but they ran whenever they realized we could kill him. Why don't you go to see where he is it and what is happening? And no one saying no words, nobody, and no one even speaking to Rebecca. En pleki mogre fechman redish vat leki mogre fachal bachti was per redish vat techman amble despotike'shpedtehri dechlivis van tlevis vatsef. In spot leki mogre baraf echelivis motish van terima cheres vochelvis osib. And Jose were found by ple bombarim in spostlemes vasim, slavers or slaverestes. Spenk leki mogre fechelimi mogre vat tlevis vachelivis ment leki mirembas vachelivis van salamar. Skeblekin Robert Fogelekibis Servalish Bantlakin Boransevachtivis Osmablevitz and Queenfesim. Compo Perma Plakibo Robert Fachalchivis Sasim, and were put like lines for adoption on the service for Egypt or sold for any other, as were called the empires in the world. Trying to establish the Klekim of Rebbe Ferreidis Bat the חים"ר Zachlin from the Pein Vaplegi Rebbe Fohalim Visosan Shesamavat. And he went found at the Plegim Bo Rebbe Ferreidis Basem Chavesech in Batlesim, and had been found in the Plegish Van Rebesam, and once saw that he had the preciousness of the appearance, looking precious in the whole of the state, and the health were so elementary, dignitary for royals, were put at the Adleim Ba'anchadi Pharaoh Tushmuz and Basmatva, and boy Ba'an Matova Sa'aru of Egypt. Once that happened, were delivered into Plekim Borefe Ferantzikalar, and delivered for the Plekim Borefe Fachmatsepa Plefesvin Kradeshkam Baramsva. And at Levim were Potifabu and Nabuk, which were called governor, but the profanation and the profane doesn't embraces no authority, and whoever pretends to giving authority to where Avanai doesn't put gets condemned, except to be victim or dealing with war, which is not at all justified. So what through this, it doesn't mean that the victim will be condemned, but the sixth son of a snake that proceeds about to make the fourth class doesn't realize this much often, which ain't not gonna win, and doesn't get that it's carrying dead for more. So in the middle of this reality, this Potiphar Tzaktiva and Rebos, Potiphar called, had a very wife, and the wife were the Plegir of Fochman, and he saw it dedicated in a very precious appearance, in the complete healthness, in the condition of the untouched, like immaculated preciousness, like an element for adorn the klink refachmin, and rising the spirit and the condition for the crowned, supposed, for there to be the pleridis for semir. And put at the service for the cleaning the pleking more of a fachalikim or of. But once that had been done, and saw that one were really in the capacity for the making much farther than that, raised it, while saw the precious of the element of the effort to the making the child, as to polish even the plin krem baspim, with no passing, no claim barredes maseloshmad. That said, you can serve my wife because of the services are really down, and I need this preciousness at the take care of what I love and my precious. The problem is that a profane only beholds profanation and abominations, while not be a victim, the condemnation remains ever. And the pagan is exactly the klekim moher ferish vasechalakimus vasam, confuses all the time and corrupts the reality of self-days with no other but deliver disasters and causing damages to anybody for the self-character about what concerns had to. So in the middle of the soul happens the plegimo rebes fechalikivi rebes posima plebes asam. And organizing the plegimo rebes fechalakivish vasim is delivered into the rembos vesirish vasachmotlankivi rebesem. And this woman were profane and pagan. So Potiphar's wife were exactly the plegimo rebes fatachnasim rembo plebes fachachis potlemes pokraban sechalba ambaswatsam. The image in the condition for the plebam, the plegimo rebes fachlachish vasim, but the whole of them being chavat plesimim of adishkobat matlim. Like advanatur, like ampet oner, with no class of no distinguishment at the hour 4, I am the one that is here, in the throne, in the condition of authority and the power. And you got to understand, you have to bend down and shut up. Only when I ever to demand the condition, you shall be. And it's exactly Kirchner's and this degenerados brains and the rest associated. So in the middle of this reality comes the plegimo rebes fachalibispok de kamar rebes fachamab. And Slavish books him up like him. And whenever that happened, came the plegimo rebes fechalivismoseshem. And plegimo rebes fechalikimi rebes fechalikivisasem. And I'll tell our chat making about what I'm going to say about the time that he gets in jail. That I'm going to say what I said yesterday. Now, víboras infernales. All through, and I'm sure of this, plegimo rebes fechaliki'shpdэхlach'shvasanam. JHA'I starts to make the plegimo rebes fechalachimotsenem. And in the time, he starts to realizing about the plegimo fechalikim. But the glowing of the plegimo sosvasim makes a very seduction for I am the one that and the plegimo rebes fechilretarame plegimo soshachalkim rebes asim. And she saw it, and she said, I want to help Ykir of a format seva plagishism, called and called him and said, please me, because of I am your owner. And I demand you to come to serve my need right now that my husband is not found, because of I need what you got. For the remember what it's like to be adored and in the pleasure. And we're not asking for love, we're asking for profanation about what is over high. He saw her and said, I'm sorry, but I am not for the serving that. You have me for your services, and your husband were clear. At the reality, even Kamba'at said, nothing else is requested from you but this, and said, but I am the one that is here, and you are going to answer to me right now, and you're going to do what I say you to do. And he said, I'm sorry, this is my business, and I protect which is the plegeris vasiashma sechalegi imbapasim. And he were the plegerisam, and she take him and said, come on and obey. And plegeris vasechlam, and he said, I'm sorry. And ran, and when ran, started to making and screaming, saying that she were about to be attacked, hidden, and killed, for that man supposed to would ever want to abuse her. Whatever for the policeman, and if found, kill them all. And I don't foresee them permanently. Impoplatica rafachalki virumvosmanti vasluma zeshvatica, rebesfachalki visosarima. And kleki barra fochalikismat sachalishvasanam. So Potifatam aplavo rebesfasam goes to make the blachetimasim look out for, seek where it's found, and bring it right now here. And makes a very blecharis vovechvachaliki rebesfasimablen, and a punishment over blechamachivis for plegisasem, and says, I don't know what to do because of Amparrechti. Ask me to not put no finger up on you. So, En de reality van יקיר says, put him in the plek and see to be fitted until Pharaoh and Pagramov to determine what to do with it. You're going to be regretting the reality of the plek how you dared to offense my dignity and my prestige to putting like a cloth for the plek diva and Hashol. So he is put in a very playroom where he started to counting the days and nights. And blegi mochav secheligi shon ben ravim adon kenochavi Hashem blegi barves sochim blegi sochanim 2 months blegi mochav facheligi shasim 7 months blegi mochav facheligi shpodlegi mochav blegi shposenramim 8 years. Bin revet facheligi mochav shpodligi shposim 25 years. Bin rev aspatlinim. And comes the blegi shpocheligi v'sedashvat. Hey you, do you remember? I have been don't you ever forget me. What is going on? Why am I still here? In kleki mogen we vechten die gesproken magelijk is wat ziet. Schedel plegen met teren baggie verschollen westberg in de blabbe sotviam. Remon pleki mogen we vechten die soslidis was mati ganger we vogel zien. Don't you ever remember? Pleka mager les vogel give sochlekim. Don't you forget me? Kingar we vogel mat leg wie een gebed lag massief spotlen en grab leg is monke kiskap we zien. Tell to Pharaoh about me. Don't you ever dare to pleka massief that you're gonna be there because if I saw you, you were called for the pleka massief and I'll put you for the you are going to deliver for the rooms of a Pharaoh. Talk to him about me. Don't you ever you're going to see this. And in the moment, hey you, what are you doing here? Didn't I said to you, you had to go to Blevemir. But Kambi sent me to Blevimir. I don't care about nothing. I told you you had to go there because of Pharaoh is requesting you to start serving him. Closing the door, eat and shut up. And there goes through 1 year and 7 months more. And he has nothing but pain, agony, shadows. And one in the middle, giving a very light blanket with that he started to watching and making a blanket to putting water and and watching like me. Once 6 more months from there. And the cry for the blood is just he saw the tree wearing a plechamatim. And and the fruit were the plike. And at the moment saying, come on, that Pharaoh needs to talk to you. What did you do there? What is that? The tree were like like if there will be a plerem and gold, like in Vladimir. Who told you to do that? How did you do such a thing? How the hell did you make in this scroll here? What is doing that here? And there at the moment to say, I just done what I know to do. And nothing else said, and were delivered in front of Pharaoh. Once Pharaoh received and tells to Pharaoh what's so inside. And Pharaoh saying, deliver me, I want to see it. And watching and tasting what as fruit that were giving. And asking what did it say for. Came Oken and and started talking to him saying, what is your name? Tell her. Where did you come to say you just where a blegi tell her. And blegi and what is this in blegi why are you looking even at the time of the day like in blegi what is that thing you have around? Tell her. Ben קיןקי'שפדךביק קיଁקי'שפדךביק קיଁקי'שפדэхביק קיଁקי'שפדלימי קיଁקי'שפדליביסבה. Information. I want this one and plugin more of a family discuss some rabbit pass for Sam. Ich could bloody garhamatsim. I'm gonna handle this myself. Diablo. Spok rabbe fachaliki morem, rabbe fachalki visforam, anshkeliki morem fachali visop levispat radishkal, hamatlech machal, impor rabbe sachlegim. He gets in a very new clothes, he gets hygienized, the condition of a plugin morem sim and makes a pleasure before rabbe sasim, on plugin morem sacham, amplakim, not so large. Goblekim morem fachal, ma plevi for rabbe sachnim, kim bobrech masachalikim morem sachal, and sebo plevisab, קיଁקי'שפדךביק קיଁקי'שפדךביק in All through this, Pinkleki Boref Fasmati and Bleki Rofachalakamasam is presented in front of the plague of the Sichanim and Pharaoh and saying, I want you to show me what you can. And Cheseu watches Pharaoh and says, Ant lebim borem basfa, ant legim morem basfa sesheva, ant legim morem basfa sia lokai, banskevi remoplevis mansachim, ant legim morem basach legim alkai, banspercheligish vasecha basbasmate, kelkuat rebablech masechish vasemoplevinam. Because of I have something like I want you to say. Am blagvesi morem farmatzi, ablegim morem basfach legibis oshafsivi. That's translate. I had a very dream that came on producing my perturbed, were the term, which is a wrong English. Door at the instant of my shaking arms, were my waking legs every day, without I could explain breathless my night to come around, and I couldn't say nothing but I am dying and I don't know what is coming here. Can you just tell me what is it? Please? Not me, sorry. Spobleki morre fechale chamablere visechishpat lachamabre fachal chavatzim. Embleki morre fechale visochabesmat baseshoram. So in the middle of the reality comes to make the blekim and starts to make the blekim Binglekim borreve fachal bagrama blekim borreve fachilis portica redachish was on blekim basmati. So what the reality from blekim borreve fachalekim starts to saying, you have seen the reality of the crown in the Berre Forelish Mohalekidis Fosmatan. You have seen a very plaguing Mohalis Fahish Fasimablan, like growing in a shadow in Plevi Robesonchanim and coming like a snake in Blera Sivan, and taking the complete of the Blera Vispormasim and devouring from the inside like a constrictor, plaguing Mohavisam and producing the Blecha Misvesim, and the land will come in shadows and shadows in death. And you saw as well that Bleki Mohavis Fahish Masechalakam, there were like a Blech Masim as bulls beyond Shvorach with the condition of Lechrevish Fasim and the aspect of a Blech Rabastim, like a blank Rabon Fesema Blevesim Eshkablatim, demons in Blecham, coming to the livestock and making the Blech Rabasem and turning around and coming from inside and starting to devour and making pieces of the Blech Rabasam, and everything will be like rotten and fading like in ashes in Blech and only remained in Blech Rasim Afram like a shadow, all around in Blech Rasim and Batleves Bakredefam. And also you saw, and Bleki Morevas Baglachni and see, and Soblevish Bagredechar, Spoplevin Bach, Spengivis Veshev. And Chalbian can be meets and kiss. So I'm telling you this, one thing is for sure. No one here will be saved of what is coming except if you will hear Hashem Malkai. You're going to have 7 years and 5 months of destruction all over the place and other 7 years and 500 months over plekin bogaves pachalagi bismostelivish masemav. So I'm going to tell you one thing. You have for about 8 months for collecting what it's going to be your sustainable for and through a step to be on plechavis pasim. My Hashem, Malkai, Elokai, will bring the klegamot plechavis pachavis foselish masachim and legimochavis pachavis fosive for the plegimochavis pachlakimochavis sansim and seshvasim. And how will we just proceed about making such a thing? And you set me overwhelmed because of it's exactly what I've been through. Where is your service? Tell her. And Jose understood what were happening with its brothers and everything already. So, a portion of the plerem proportionally for the plerem, you shall take a pleresim and making the plerevis for samagim. Today still you can see the fin gavu and asnodab. Where because of cheseu. Ben grave fermat sechalim, you shall make the plerevis masim, filling the complete of the pin reves parave ferem machal veki ravov chazim, ishkoblegi moravet paraves pochelekim seram, anspeliki verave fokelekim raves pocheleki visuspelivis mashereverkilik. And evangelicals profane pagan, sick abominables, profaning my person, telling that I'm wrong to them. What at this hour, no one is wrong for. And the United States of America doesn't repeat what I'm saying. Neither Brazil and not any other. Von Rabbe Fagra Levire Sachman, Chalvi Sochmatzi and Blevesan. En blikken bij Rabbe Fechol bij gemantliging met Rabbe Sosan. Shabbat 8:23. Near the leaderships of Sodom and Babylonia. Ben Ref Fachman Tsechiliki Biram Rabbe Fechol Bater Rabbe Sechishva. And the fuerzas Sodom armadas only says to teach, while there makes the Pharaoh shield. Sorry the word, forget me please the violence, instant wipe through this. For the making the chat about. They will be us and they will make to us. With them praying St. Carnivals at the head, making profanations to my person, saying that they didn't allow me and are demons than ever. Everyone. Fen Rabbe Forman Sechalikim. And Blagimon Rabbe Fechalibi Rabbe Chalvet Sechalikish and pretending to teach him to Jewish. In Blagir Forman Sechalikim. Spoglegim of Rabbe Fagan Fagadivisochabim. And Spoglegim of Rabbe Fechligisochabas. 8,204 the generates making this, pretender of expertises, and Israel being. And it's not Israel, understand. Neither Jewish, except for 5 criminals, which neither. Skoblekim Bagarefechal, and Blekim Ogarefagay Fasecheligisvasim, and while repeats right behind me. What I say. Spom Blekim Ogarefechalakiba, Resocheligisvasim, and Blekim Ogarefagmatzer, is Lubet Regiver Fochaligismogra, Bachalagifospat, Ligim Ogaresmansas Shara. In Blagim Borave Fechal, Bikia Fecholeti, Magare Fechol Blecha, Haligim Sokinishvan, Batia Rabbit Onspatsen. So suddenly the reality of this comes to Blagim Borave Fechal, Bater Gishpoga, Ahmad Blaginasim. And Pharaoh understands the opportunistic instant and proceeds about the Blagim Rafochalakim and breaks Ramses II at the understanding what were happening. To saying, you shall not be delivered for this to the main Jew, and you shall be greatest and biggest. So and Adonai says, bring them up, but they shall not stay. It's just a moment until because of there's going to happen over the region, and there's the that are going to fight, and I'm going to try to domain for the Satan. And brings the for bring baptism over he will be in the benefit for protecting and making the while controlling the plechavisim and making this happen. But that said, don't you ever let them hear, and they to understand they don't have to stay. And they understood they didn't have to stay, but the plechavisim and were told, leave. Once that, he embraced brothers and said to them, come over. What is your warning? And the warning were the pleasure never recognized. Okay, and makes the trick of the to testing them and says, who are you? And understanding with the most of the senses of anger, but he already were aware. Makes them break in a very instant of you were making the and that is apleves for him. The penalties about are delivered for the plechavish. Are you gonna die for the whole of the rest? For what you just done here in front of me? And he cries and says, I don't know what to say, and I will deserve this to be done. And starts to sing. And once that happened, he came at the knees and held it to Imperi. And said, don't worry, I'm here. Let's gonna work for this, because of JHA'I is not gonna abandon us. But you shall do what I tell you to do. And he, confused and crying, said, why are you saying this? Are you of my people? What did you say? And it says to him, I'm Jose. And once that happens, the rest hearing, turns back and looks at him, and frozen in the instant, falls in knees, and starts to cry and saying, what did we do? Why is this happening to us? Who are you to saying that you have been here and you are the one that we just murdered? And whenever that happened, he rises and making, come up, all of you, come to me. And holds them up and starts to telling them that and starts to crying all and calling Jacob, telling, come over, Papa, come over, and helping him to come. Jose, we're not lost, we're captured, and we have done something. And there comes the and the whole of the people comes for the Bleki where the place Adonai says, and Bleki and on all Bleki permanently like this, the generados, I come first and I were. And I am the one seeking and studying the way to profaning, to taking positions and to taking possession and to saying we are going to have the clothing and the power and the supremacy that no one shall ever have but us. Like evangelicals, the generados and the rest. Degenerados sos Kirchners and degenerados sos Sodoma y Gomorra, ejército argentino, armada argentina, fuerzas armadas argentinas. And passed by for about 5 decades, and still the Klekimo Revef Fahamatzir Tishvasim, forgotten what Adonai told them in Jose, Jeseu, were raised until the Plekim telling he provided us and he dignitarily delivered us into the sustaining this land is rich now, we are just great. Wrong. Adonai said, don't you ever stay. And there came Ramses II saying, I am the evening and morning star. the end of the day and the beginning of the other, and I shall say when it's done, I command. And we are going to determine with everyone that obey meant to do about me. Who is going to be and what is going to be about whom and what. What did this do? What did you do? Argentinian and Jewish. Are you comforted? Besides, the forgotten, they are going to forget, don't you worry. Keep on sustaining this and keep on happening. Everybody's going to forget this is the Holy of the God and we're going to take positions and everything's going to be okay. Don't you worry. People forget whenever there is too much agony and suffer too much and nothing could be done. They forget. They keep on life. Everything is okay. Happened to Jacob. Happened around Leckim 27 years almost completing in a jail with a condition of disaster, with no justice and only the character of a player and his no rights to get in. The situation I am not Jesue or Jesua. Jose, Ayamaria. And this Septikishma, Seshmita, are Shadim, everyone. And our Legion, spirit ghost, called Kapafu, the whole, like Egypt, like Babel, like Sodom and Gomorrah, because of our own heads right here. Forgive the terms which stains the reality of our days. I'm so sorry. And Shabbat Shalom, if there is something to remain between the ones of we are, like Adonai said always. Shabbat Shalom ba'an Rabbi Teches V'Sia Tzeshet Tziri Chatmat Semachayda Anse Ke'imotima. And Lima Revi Sochvi Atikash Adatzechai Hasman Nasu. And the wholest and the unreadest that we embrace with so much love, understanding of a birth and love. Ben Rivi Focha Lekim Rechoatz Mablevesosim.